The guided missile destroyer USS Porter is conducting freedom of navigation operations 43 nautical miles south of Bandar Abbas. Routine patrol. Standard mission. Nothing routine about what happens next. At 2:31 a.m., Iranian coastal defense batteries activate. Fire control radar. Targeting systems painting the American ship. At 2:34:17 a.m., a Fateh-313 ballistic missile strikes USS Porter's forward superstructure. At 8:47 a.m., 6 hours and 13 minutes later, American cruise missiles begin impacting Iranian military installations across a 400-mile stretch of coastline. I'm your host at Warfare Signal, where we analyze the military operations that reshape global power. This is the story of the fastest American military retaliation since the Gulf War. How one Iranian missile killed 11 American sailors, and how 67 American missiles answered before the sun was fully up over Tehran. Let's establish why the response was so fast. Since the incidents of 2026, U.S. Central Command had maintained pre-authorized strike packages for exactly this scenario. If Iran attacked an American vessel in the Persian Gulf, the response would not wait for White House deliberation. It would not wait for congressional notification. It would execute automatically. The authorization had been signed 6 months earlier, reviewed quarterly, updated monthly. When the Fateh-313 struck USS Porter, that authorization activated. At 2:31 a.m., USS Porter's AN/SPY-1D radar detected unusual activity along the Iranian coast. Multiple radar emissions, fire control signatures. The pattern was consistent with missile launch preparation. Commander David Chin ordered general quarters. Standard precaution. The ship had detected similar patterns before. Usually false alarms. Usually Iranian forces testing their systems, probing American reactions. This time was different. At 2:33:41 a.m., the Fateh-313 launched from a mobile platform hidden in an industrial complex 73 miles inland. Solid fuel ignition. Ballistic trajectory. Terminal velocity. Mach 4. USS Porter's radar detected the launch at 2:33:47 a.m., 6 seconds after ignition. Classification: ballistic threat. Ship target: high confidence. Time to impact: 51 seconds. The SM-2 Block 3 A interceptor launched at 2:33:54 a.m., 7 seconds after detection. The missile climbed toward the incoming Iranian weapon at Mach 3.5. At 2:34:11 a.m., the SM-2 achieved proximity detonation. The warhead fragmented 17 meters from the Fateh-313. Shrapnel struck the Iranian missile's airframe. The Fateh-313 was damaged. Its guidance system went offline, but 450 kilograms of metal and explosive continued falling toward USS Porter. At 2:34:17 a.m., the remains of the Iranian missile struck the American destroyer. Impact point: the forward superstructure near the base of the SPY-1D radar array. The warhead achieved partial detonation. Not a full explosion, but enough. 11 sailors died in the impact and immediate aftermath. 19 more were wounded. The ship's forward radar face was destroyed. Fires erupted across 3 compartments. USS Porter was hit. Her crew was dead and dying, and the pre-authorized response was already activating. If you understand why automatic retaliation changes military calculations, subscribe to Warfare Signal. At 2:35 a.m., USS Porter transmitted an emergency message. All stations, Porter is hit. Multiple casualties. Fires forward. Radar array destroyed. Hostile missile launch from Iranian coast confirmed. Request immediate support and execute contingency Alpha 7. Contingency Alpha 7. The code word that activated pre-authorized strikes. At U.S. Central Command headquarters in Qatar, the message arrived at 2:35:14 a.m. The duty officer had one task: verify the code word, confirm the strike authorization was valid, and transmit execution orders. He completed that task in 47 seconds. At 2:36:01 a.m., Strike orders transmitted to every American military asset within range of Iranian targets. USS Shiloh, operating 67 nautical miles southeast of USS Porter, began programming Tomahawk missiles at 2:36:23 a.m. USS Philippine Sea, operating in the Gulf of Oman, began programming at 2:36:31 a.m. The submarine USS Florida, positioned in classified waters, began programming at 2:36:44 a.m. B-52 H Stratofortresses at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, already on alert status, received strike coordinates at 2:37:12 a.m. Their engines were running within 4 minutes. The first Tomahawk launched at 2:47 a.m., 11 minutes after USS Porter was hit. The first of 67 missiles that would reshape the Persian Gulf before sunrise. The target list had been prepared months in advance. Every major Iranian military installation within range, every Revolutionary Guard facility, every radar site, missile battery, and naval base that posed a threat to American operations. The strikes were sequenced for maximum effect. Phase 1. Radar and air defense suppression. 23 Tomahawks targeted Iranian early warning radars and S-300 surface-to-air missile batteries. If the Iranians couldn't see the American weapons coming, they couldn't stop them. Phase 2. Coastal defense elimination. 19 Tomahawks targeted the missile batteries that threatened shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, including the battery that had launched the weapon that hit USS Porter. Phase 4. Command and control decapitation. 10 Tomahawks targeted headquarters facilities. The officers who had ordered the strike on USS Porter would not survive to give another order. The first impacts occurred at 3:41 a.m. The S-300 battery at Bandar Abbas never saw the missiles coming. 3 Tomahawks struck within a 12-second window. The battery's radar vans, command post, and missile launchers ceased to exist simultaneously. At 3:43 a.m., the early warning radar at Bushehr went offline. 2 direct hits. The installation that was supposed to protect southern Iran was now a crater. At 3, total Iranian missiles destroyed before they could be used. Estimated 23. What would you do if you were an Iranian commander watching your military infrastructure disintegrate? You've hit 1 American ship. Now, American missiles are destroying everything you have. Do you order more attacks? Do you try to negotiate? Do you hide and pray? At 4:15 a.m., Iranian air defenses attempted to respond. 3 Iranian F-14 Tomcats scrambled from Shiraz Air Base. Ancient aircraft, 40 years old, but still capable of carrying missiles, still capable of shooting at American aircraft that might follow the cruise missiles. They never reached altitude. The engagement lasted 47 seconds. 3 AIM-120D missiles, 3 kills. All 3 Iranian pilots ejected. 2 were recovered by Iranian search and rescue. 1 was never found. At 4:23 a.m., Iranian fast attack boats began sortying from Bandar Abbas. 16 vessels. Their mission: attack the wounded USS Porter while she was vulnerable. They were sailing into a trap. USS Shiloh and USS Philippine Sea had repositioned during the Tomahawk launch sequence. They now formed a defensive screen between the Iranian coast and the damaged American destroyer. At 4, they should not have entered weapons range. USS Shiloh's 5-inch naval gun opened fire at 4:47:23 a.m. GPS-guided projectiles, 20 rounds per minute. The first Iranian boat disintegrated at 4:47:41 a.m. The second boat at 4:48:03 a.m. The third at 4:48:19 a.m. At 4:51 a.m., the remaining Iranian boats reversed course. 13 vessels destroyed or disabled, 3 escaping at maximum speed toward the coast. They didn't escape. F/A-18 Super Hornets from USS Eisenhower, their intercept mission against the F-14S complete, had weapons remaining, Harpoon anti-ship missiles. At 5:03 a.m., the last 3 Iranian fast attack boats were destroyed. Total Iranian naval personnel killed in the swarm attack, 147. Subscribe to Warfare Signal if you want to understand the scope of what happened before dawn. The Tomahawk strikes continued through the night. At 5:17 a.m., Revolutionary Guard Naval Headquarters in Bandar Abbas was struck. 6 missiles. The building that had coordinated Iranian naval operations for 3 decades collapsed in on itself. At 5:34 a.m., a suspected drone control facility near Isfahan was destroyed. Iranian surveillance drones had been harassing American ships for months. Their control center was now rubble. At 6:23 a.m., the ammunition depot at Bandar Lenga detonated. 2 Tomahawks had struck the entrance. The secondary explosions continued for 47 minutes. At 7:15 a.m., the B-52s arrived. The bombers had launched from Al Udeid at 2:51 a.m. Their flight path took them over Saudi Arabia and the Gulf of Oman, approaching Iranian airspace from the south. Each aircraft carried 12 AGM-158 JASSM cruise missiles, 48 additional weapons for targets that Tomahawks couldn't reach. The JSSMs struck at 7:17 a.m. Revolutionary Guard training facilities, communications relay stations, a suspected chemical weapons research site that had been on American target lists for years. By 8:47 a.m., the strikes were complete. Total American weapons expended: 67 Tomahawks, 48 JASSMs, 3 AIM-120D air-to-air missiles, approximately 400 5-inch naval gun rounds, 3 Harpoon missiles. Total Iranian military personnel killed: estimated 673. Total Iranian military infrastructure destroyed, valued at approximately $4.7 billion. The response had taken 6 hours and 13 minutes from the moment USS Porter was hit. USS Porter survived. Her crew fought fires through the night. Damage control teams sealed the flooding. By dawn, she was stable enough to begin the journey to Bahrain for emergency repairs. 11 sailors did not make the journey with her. Their bodies were recovered from the wreckage of the forward superstructure. Petty Officer First Class Marcus Johnson, 34. Lieutenant Junior Grade Jennifer Torres, 27. Seaman David Okonkwo, 19. Chief Petty Officer Robert Kim, 42. Petty Officer, 3rd Class Angela Martinez, 23. And 6 more. 11 names, 11 families, 11 flags. The international reaction was swift and divided. American allies expressed support for defensive action. NATO issued a statement affirming collective security principles. Russia condemned the strikes as disproportionate aggression. China called for restraint from all parties. Iran, remarkably, said almost nothing. The silence lasted 3 days. When Iranian leadership finally spoke, it was not to threaten retaliation. It was to propose negotiations. The pre-authorized response had achieved something that years of diplomacy had not. It had demonstrated that the cost of attacking American ships was catastrophic and immediate. Iran's military capability in the Persian Gulf had been reduced by an estimated 40% in a single night. Their ability to threaten shipping through the Strait of Hormuz was severely degraded. Their command structure was decapitated. 1 Iranian missile, 11 American sailors, 673 Iranian dead, $4.7 billion destroyed. That's the exchange rate when retaliation is automatic. The Persian Gulf remains contested. American ships still patrol. Iranian missiles remain on alert. But the calculus has changed. Everyone now knows what happens if those missiles fire. Stay informed. Stay vigilant. I'll see you in the next one.